Hello guys, you join me in the Ibiza FR is back. It's been fixed, the MOT has been passed with no advisories, and this is actually the third... Shut up. This is actually the third time I've started this video. First time I started the video, one of the mounts I was trying out wasn't working properly, so I had to ditch the intro. I then started filming a second time, and the SD card in this got full, I had to change it. So this is actually the third time of trying, but hopefully it'll be third time lucky. Oh god, that's a bit bumpy. So back in the Ibiza, it's been fixed, and this is a video I wanted to film a while ago, but I never got around to it. And basically it's going to be a little bit of a shock, and you're going to think, where's this come from? And it might even be a little bit controversial, maybe not, but I can't see anything that's coming down this road. There we go, made it out alive. And basically it's been on my mind for the last few days. I've been driving this car almost back to back now because my stepmom has borrowed my MX-5, because how else is she going to get to her hairdressing job? She hasn't really got a hairdressing job, she works in an office, but you know, people always say that the MX-5 is a hairdresser's car, which I hate by the way, but yeah, well, oh, MX-5 over there actually. So yeah, so at first I was really excited about being back in the FR, because it'd been quite some time since I'd driven it, and I did miss it. And it's the kind of car that, I know it's not perfect, but when I would park it up, I would look back at it and I'd smile. It made me happy. But over the last few days, I've kind of thought, am I starting to fall out of love with the car? And I'll explain why in a few moments. So whilst I've been doing car obsession, I've been very lucky to drive a variety of different cars, whether they're just normally, sorry, I got the sat nav on, whether they're just normal family hatchbacks, or whether they're like BMW M performance cars, or, well, have I driven any, I'm trying to think if I've driven any supercars. I've driven the DB11, but that is a supercar, but it's more of a Grand Tourer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Driven the Audi TTRS, which isn't a supercar, but that is a properly quick car. Another hairdresser's car, people would call it, but again, it just really isn't. Anyway, I'm going off topic already. So there are, you know, because I've been lucky to drive so many cars, it's kind of really highlighted the weaknesses of the Ibiza, and they've become more prominent recently. So that's something I wanted to talk to you about today. Oh god, that's one of the things I'm going to talk about for ride. It's really dark down here, you probably can't see me now, apologies guys. So there are a few things that I'm not a big fan of in the Ibiza anymore, and a part of me thinks, is this a car I still want to own and drive? I think, I don't know. So got the missus with me, got Patsy with me, and yeah, I'm just going to talk about what I don't like in the Ibiza. That's a perfect example. So one of the first things is the steering. It's really light, and to the point where I've driven normal hatchbacks and they've had a heavier... What do you mean turn left? There is no turn left. Shut up. I've driven like normal hatchbacks that have had a heavier steering setup compared to the Ibiza. And just to give you an idea, I can quite happily steer it with my pinky. That really gives you an idea of how light it is. Just super light. And for me, that's kind of not annoying, disappointed, because okay, I know this isn't an out and out hot hatch. You know, you would have the Ibiza Cupra for that, of course, but it still pushes out a modest amount of power, don't you think? 148 brake horsepower, 220 newton meters of torque, 0 to 60 in about 8 seconds or so, although I have done it in 7.1 seconds at Santapod. So this is not a slow car. Top speed is 134, I think, give or take, almost 135. So, you know, with the turbo, you know, this is a nippy car, and it's quite deceptive, isn't it? And that's why I like this car. You know, when I was trying to film earlier, you know, Patsy, you said about when I've taken it on track days, and someone came up to me and said, I wasn't expecting you know, I wasn't expecting the car to be that fast. And I quite like that. Now, normally for a hot hatch, I like them to be quite leery and in your face. I think you should be able to know a hot hatch as soon as you see it.
Yeah.
Although I do think, she's going to hate me for this, I do think the newer Honda Civic Type R is too leery. It's too much.
How can you have a hot hatch that's too leery?
I just think it's too much.
No, you have to justify it. Why is it too much?
It's just like a football hooligan. The Ibiza is very subtle in its looks. It looks, you know, when you give it a close inspection, it does look muscular, and you know, I think the proportions of it are quite good, but it is subtle, and that's not what I normally look for in a, you know, a performance hatchback, in all honesty. But I do rather like it. But the steering, it's just too light. I wouldn't mind if it was direct, but it's not particularly direct in my opinion. I need to find a petrol station at some point because I'm running low on petrol. I always seem to be quite low on fuel whenever I film. Another thing I'm not a big fan of in this car is the ride. I don't know whether to call it very firm or hard, but I don't know, I think it's quite hard, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say it's quite a hard, I was going to say hard ride, but that wouldn't sound too right. Giggity. It's quite, I can't say it without sounding wrong, it is a hard ride.
On roads like this, it's absolutely fine, or petrol station. But when you hit bumps, my word, you know about it. And, you know, that's just a manhole cover, and it doesn't really soak up bumps very well. Again, that's a manhole cover, and the ride is quite hard. Right, I'm just going to stop for a few moments, guys, because I do need petrol, as I mentioned a few moments ago. So, I'm going to get some Go Juice, and I'll be back shortly.
I'm having some Go Juice.
What you want me to put some petrol in you?
No, I want a drink.
Back in a few.
Hey, Percy's!
Well, yeah. You can't go into Marks and Spencer's and not get Percy Pigs.
Percy's!
It doesn't take much to impress her.
That's why I married you.
Oh, burn!
Can you open them? Because I can't.
Oh.
I've got a broken wrist.
No, you said it's not broken, you said it's bent.
Okay, I've got I was about to say TARDIS fracture.
A what?
I've got a Taurus fracture. I've got a bent bone. Oh, see, I've got a busted wrist and I can't. Ah!
Yeah. I'll keep it quiet for about 5 minutes before she gets hyper for sugar. So yes, where were we? We were talking about the ride, and there we are. So I'm just trying to find the bumps in the road to kind of highlight to you that the ride isn't particularly good. And when you hit a pothole, my word, do you know about it? It will break your spine. Actually, it won't, but it is quite bad, isn't it, when you hit a pothole? Yeah, exactly. But there are still things I do like about the car. So, for example, if I pop it into third, foot down, yeah, it's a bit of a turbo lag, but this car will move. Now, at this point, you may be wondering, why did I buy the car in the first place? Well, let me explain. At the time, well, the car is still on finance, but at the time I had wrong gear. At the time, I had certain conditions I had to meet for finance. So the car couldn't be more than 100,000 miles, and it couldn't be older than 10 years. And my budget was about 5,000. And you're probably thinking, well, you can get a lot of hot hatchbacks for that money, and you would be right. However, like I say, it had to be young enough, and the mileage couldn't be too high. Now, whilst I was filming, I did speak about alternatives, but if truth be told, I rambled on for about 6 or 7 minutes, so I thought I'd cut that bit out. But just to summarise, the hot hatchbacks that I really wanted to look at didn't fit in with the criteria, so they were either too old, or the mileage was too high, or the price was too high. So that's why I ended up with the Ibiza in the first place. But the Ibiza was kind of a car that ticked all the boxes. I think that's what I'm trying to say here. But I've had this car almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years in October. Wow. I know, and the time has gone by. I have had fun in this car. I've taken it on 2 track days. I was hoping to take it on a track day this year, but A, it wasn't working properly, and B, couldn't quite afford it. And I've also taken it on a drag strip, so I've taken it on Santa Pod, and that was good fun. So yeah, I have had fun in this car, but it's kind of got to a point where I now think, well, I need to get into that lane for starters. I can't. I now think, have I kind of outgrown this car? The car is still on finance, so if I were to sell it, it wouldn't be that straightforward. So a part of me thinks, well, is it really worth the hassle? But I don't know, how do you feel about the car? Honesty.
I personally think at the time this car was the right one to go for, but...
And I'd agree with you. And it's good condition as well.
I think if the timing was different, or if we spent more time searching, or I think we could have got a better hot hatch. I love this car. Aaron, you know I love this car. You know I love this car to bits, and I really enjoy this car. But I think if we had spent a tad more time, we could have got a hotter hatch, and I don't think you'd be now questioning your original purchase.
But yes, so to kind of come back to the original question, do I regret buying this car? Parts of me, yes, but as we've said, at the time, what's this car doing? At the time, this was the best fit for me, so gotta keep it for a bit longer. But when I do get the opportunity, I will be looking to get something else. Something else. What that will be, I don't know, because we're kind of at a point where it's far too early to talk about options. But yeah, for the time being, for Ibiza FR will do me, but long term, I think I would like to try something else. But anyway, that is enough talking from me. Are we going off here?
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe for more Car Obsession.